Have you ever felt like a single comment from someone could set your mind ablaze in seconds? Have you ever found yourself unable to focus just because of one small thing that didn't go your way? Or those moments when you know you need to stay calm, composed, and steady, but you can't because your head is a chaotic mess of emotions and instant reactions? If so, you're not alone. That's human instinct. But precisely because of that, we need something beyond instinct. A foundation, a system of thinking that helps you live with purpose instead of being swept away by life's currents. For thousands of years, Stoicism has helped people do just that. Not by escaping the world, but by building inner strength, calm in the storm, focus amid chaos, and unshakable resilience against external events. This isn't theory, it's practice. And in this video, you'll experience 10 practical mindset shifts that have helped millions live more deeply, consciously, and freely. If you're seeking a better version of yourself, not through force, but through genuine understanding and transformation from within, you're in the right place. Stay until the end of this video. And if something resonates with you, don't hesitate to hit the like button to mark the moment you begin your journey to self-mastery. Subscribe to the channel to not miss a single step on the path to becoming unshakable. Number 1, voluntary discomfort. We live in an era where comfort is the norm. One tap brings food to your door. One click streams an entire movie. Feeling uneasy? Just swipe, and thousands of distractions make discomfort vanish instantly. But what few tell you is this: every time you avoid discomfort, you miss a chance to grow stronger. The Stoics understood this thousands of years ago. They didn't flee from pain or challenges. They chose to embrace them because they knew inner strength isn't built from ease, but from deliberately choosing what's not easy. Voluntary discomfort, deliberate unease, isn't punishment. It's training. Just as a gym goer doesn't wait for weakness to start lifting, the Stoics didn't wait for crises to practice resilience. They trained in advance. They slept on hard floors despite having beds. They ate simply despite lavish options. They walked instead of riding. They did uncomfortable things to forge a mind that wouldn't waver. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Prepare your mind for the worst, not to fear it, but to not be surprised if it comes." When you live as if challenges could arrive any moment and you'd still be okay, you begin to feel a profound freedom. You stop fearing life because you've trained for its worst. In modern times, you don't need to wear sackcloth or live like a hermit to practice this. Just step into small discomforts daily. Wake up 30 minutes earlier to read when you'd rather sleep. Take a cold shower instead of a warm one. Eat with discipline instead of indulging fleeting emotions. Get up to exercise when your body says, tomorrow. Each act is a reminder to your mind, I'm in control. Not emotions, not habits, not circumstances. Me. The benefit isn't just health or productivity, it's that you start trusting yourself. Every time you overcome procrastination or resistance, you're not just completing a task, you're signaling to your mind that you can endure and act. Over time, that signal becomes belief, and from that belief comes real confidence. Not the kind built on praise or achievements, but a quiet, unshakable confidence. Conversely, if you always choose ease, convenience, or right now, you become more fragile. A bit of pressure breaks you. Criticism shakes you. Challenges panic you, not because you're weak, but because you haven't trained to be strong. Like someone who's never lifted weights, struggling with a heavy bottle, an untrained mind can't handle willpower without practice. Discomfort is also where you discover hidden parts of yourself. When you enter tough territory, you recognize the voice of fear, the noise of ego, the limits you've set, and you learn to push past them. It's not a pleasant journey, but it's one that truly matures you. Because what's worthwhile doesn't come from comfort. It comes from the clarity you gain after overcoming something you thought you couldn't. A classic Stoic exercise is to imagine losing everything: wealth, reputation, status, loved ones. Not to be pessimistic, but to realize that even if it happens, you still have one thing: your inner strength. This helps you stop clinging to what can fade and start building what no one can take: resilience. That's why voluntary discomfort doesn't weaken you. It elevates you beyond yourself. If this sparks a thought about a small action you can take today to step out of your comfort zone, don't hesitate. Do it. It doesn't need to be extreme. Just one uncomfortable thing you choose to do. And if you've ever pushed through discipline despite exhaustion, share it in the comments. I want to hear how you're training yourself. If you want to dive deeper into Stoic mindset shifts with me, subscribe now. Because this video isn't just inspiration, it's a reminder. You can build strength to face anything life throws at you, but only if you choose to step into discomfort before it arrives. Number 2, practice keeping your silence. Silence isn't weakness or a lack of ideas. On the contrary, in Stoic philosophy, silence is a form of strength. The more inwardly grounded a person is, the less they need to speak to prove themselves. They don't live for recognition. They live to live rightly. In today's world where everyone rushes to voice opinions, argue online, and react instantly to every word, those who can stay silent hold true inner power. They don't jump into every fight. They don't answer every provocation. They don't need to justify every choice. They choose silence not out of fear, but because they aren't swayed by fleeting emotions or the urge to flaunt their ego. Epictetus once said, "If someone speaks ill of you, don't rush to defend yourself. Consider that if they knew everything about you, they might say worse." This may sound harsh, but it reflects a profound acceptance of both yourself and the uncontrollable nature of the world. The Stoics didn't stay silent for lack of words, but because they knew what to say, when and to whom matters most. In most cases, reacting instantly is what weakens us most. Silence creates space for choice, a space where you reclaim control. Keeping silent also hones observation. When you don't rush to join the conversation, you gain time to see others' motives, your true emotions, and the situation's reality. You aren't led astray by a taunt. You don't get dragged into debates that only waste time and energy. The Stoics chose silence as a shield, protecting their minds from unnecessary turmoil. However, silence doesn't mean constant passivity or submission. There are times to speak, to defend values, state truths, or guide others. But the key is, you speak after finding stillness. Silence lets you choose rightly, speak firmly, and act steadily. Those who say little but well carry more weight than those who speak much without substance. In practice, you can cultivate silence with simple actions. When someone complains, instead of chiming in or contradicting, just listen. When attacked online, pause 24 hours before deciding if a response is needed. When you're about to say something just to impress, stop and ask, is this necessary, true, helpful? These 3 questions, necessary, true, helpful, are filters the Stoics often use to keep their words free from meaningless noise. A person who masters silence masters themselves. They aren't provoked by external triggers. They aren't driven by an ego-craving display. And so, they become unmanipulable. Someone who doesn't rush to prove themselves isn't easily swayed by praise or crushed by criticism. They walk steadily, not because they know everything, but because they don't need to know everything to feel enough. Try a day without talking about yourself, boasting, responding to criticism, or joining pointless chatter. Your mind will feel lighter, clearer. You'll notice much of what we say daily masks fear, fills insecurity, or props up a shaky ego. When you dare to be silent, you stop playing roles. And when you stop playing roles, you start living authentically. Silence isn't the goal. It's a tool to become sharper, deeper, steadier. The Stoics didn't seek absolute external quiet. They sought selective inner quiet, a stillness unbroken by the world's noise. From that state, they acted more powerfully, spoke more clearly, lived more purposefully. If this shifts how you view silence, hit the like button to commit to practicing stillness from today, not to escape the world, but to master how you move through it. Share in the comments a situation where you chose silence and grew from it. And if you find these values worth spreading, subscribe to catch the next videos. Because true growth starts not with what you say, but with how you learn to stay silent when it counts. Number 3, Amor Fati, love your fate. There's a Stoic concept that, once you grasp and live by, shifts your view of life so that you no longer see events as right or wrong, good or bad, lucky or unlucky. It's Amor Fati, Latin for loving your fate. Not resigning to fate passively, but embracing it, turning everything that happens, even the uncomfortable, painful, or seemingly unfair, into fuel for growth in a deeper life. This philosophy doesn't teach you to stand still when hurt. It teaches you to see every event as a necessary part of becoming the person you were born to be. The Stoics didn't pray for a smooth life. They prayed for the inner strength to transform whatever came their way into power. That's the essence of Amor Fati, not just being okay with what happens, but thanking it for happening. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor facing war, betrayal, and plague, wrote in his Meditations that what comes is what should come. If nature, fate, and the order of life unfold this way, he didn't want it otherwise. He didn't just accept it, he celebrated it. When you can face an event, loss, failure, pain, and say, I'll use this to grow, you're no longer a victim of circumstance. You become the master of your inner response. Living Amor. Fati requires a deep shift in your mental operating system. Stop mechanically labeling things as good or bad. What seems bad today might be what helps you grow tomorrow. The person you thought betrayed you might have pushed you toward inner freedom. Losing a beloved job might open doors you never dared imagine. You don't have to pretend to be happy when things go wrong, but you can learn to stop resisting, stop resenting, stop lingering in suffering. Amor Fati isn't about slapping on fake positivity. It's about shifting from a passive role to an active learner. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, what can I learn from this? How can I become stronger after this passes? When you face life and embrace all it brings, chaos included, nothing can break you from within. A daily practice for Amor Fati is to write each night, what upset, frustrated, or hurt you today, and ask, if this was necessary for my growth, what's the lesson? That one question can turn a bad day into a valuable one. Not because you changed what happened, but because you chose to reframe the story with a steadier, more proactive perspective. Amor Fati also teaches you to stop fighting the past. What's done can't be undone, but your attitude toward it can change anytime. When you say, I hate it, but it made me stronger, you're still in opposition. But when you can say, I don't just accept it, I'm grateful for it, you've truly moved beyond, because nothing external controls you anymore, not even memories. Amor Fati isn't for those who crumble easily, but it ensures you won't crumble. When you dare to love all that comes, even what you don't yet understand, you become unbreakable. Life can strip everything away, but with this mindset, even with your last breath, you're living on your terms. That's a quality no money can buy, no social status can replace. If you've ever looked back on a hardship and realized, it taught me something invaluable, you've touched Amor Fati's essence. If you're in a tough phase now, try asking, could this be part of a journey I'll thank later? You don't need an immediate answer. Just asking shifts your perspective. If this section makes you see your life differently, hit the like button to mark a new step in how you approach fate. Share in the comments a story of something you once hated, but later felt grateful for. And if you want to keep building a mindset unshaken by circumstances, subscribe. Because living isn't just about overcoming what comes. It's about turning all that comes into the foundation for your strongest self. Number 4, set internal goals instead of external ones. If there's one thing that keeps modern humans feeling perpetually insufficient, always driven to achieve more, do more, prove more, it's that we base our lives on external goals. We measure our worth by titles, bank accounts, social media likes, or others' recognition. And so, we live in an endless loop where reaching an external milestone brings only fleeting satisfaction, followed by emptiness that pushes us toward a new goal, faster, higher, but never deeper. Stoic philosophy offers a radically different perspective. For the Stoics, true value doesn't come from what you achieve, but from who you become in the process. They didn't oppose setting goals, but they drew a clear line between two types: external goals, which are never fully in your control, and internal goals, which you can master no matter what happens. Epictetus taught, "Don't aim to win the competition, but to compete to the best of my ability and stay calm regardless of the outcome." External goals can be stolen by others or shifted by circumstance, but internal goals, your character, responses, and spirit, are yours to command. When you root your life in internal goals, you're no longer as vulnerable when the world doesn't bend to your wishes. Instead of aiming for 10,000 followers, aim for sharing authentic value daily, whether anyone follows or not. Instead of "I must get promoted in 6 months," aim for "working with responsibility, discipline, and integrity because I respect those qualities." When you shift from outcomes to actions, from external to internal, you build a steady foundation, unshaken by what's beyond your control. The beauty is that when you set internal goals well, external results often follow as a byproduct, without force. People who live with discipline, responsibility, humility, and consistency can't help but grow. But they don't need results to feel whole. They feel whole because each day they live true to what they believe. That's true freedom. Freedom from the obsession to win, to prove, to outdo others. This practice isn't just theoretical. It demands daily self-confrontation. Start with small, fundamental questions. What am I expecting that I can't control? How am I defining success? If no one praises or notices me tomorrow, will I still value what I did today? These questions reveal whose standards you're living by, others or your own. A practical way to set internal goals is to write 3 things each morning: not finish the project or meet 5 clients, but stay calm in every meeting, avoid checking my phone during meals, work with 100% focus for at least 2 hours. These goals don't depend on others, aren't swayed by circumstances, and most importantly, are within your power to choose. Living by internal goals teaches you to let go, not in surrender, but in releasing unrealistic expectations of life and focusing on doing your part, leaving the rest to fate. This isn't resignation, it's serenity from a deep trust that living rightly is never wasted, whether results come or not. In a world chasing milestones, be the one who returns to depth. In a world measuring success by speed, be the one rooting in endurance. In a world where egos crave validation, be the one keeping your mind clear, clean, and strong enough to not need to surpass anyone, only to surpass yesterday's you. If you've ever hit an external milestone yet felt empty, you know exactly what I mean. If you want to reset your life's values, try shifting all your goals inward. Don't aim to be successful, aim to be principled, self-respecting, and resilient. You can't control the world, but you can control the person you're building today. If this stirs something in you, hit the like button to affirm you're starting to live by your own goals, not to please others, not driven by outcomes. Share in the comments one internal goal you'll commit to this week. And if you want to keep exploring how to live deeper and stronger with me, subscribe. Because the journey to transform your life starts not with what you have, but with who you choose to become. Number 5, what you run from runs your life. Most of what causes us stress, anxiety, and an inability to live fully doesn't come from the external world, but from what we deliberately avoid within. A psychological truth in Stoic principle states, what you run from will always chase you. The more you avoid your fears, the more they shape your decisions. The more you deny parts of yourself, the more they surface in every relationship. The more you try not to think about something, the more it haunts you. What you run from runs your life isn't just a warning. It's a call to turn and face it. The Stoics didn't flee pain, they walked into it. Not because they love suffering, but because they knew only by facing what unsettles you can you begin to dissolve its power. What you fear will control you if you refuse to engage with it. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens that makes you miserable, but how you think about it." And most of that misery comes from never pausing, looking directly and asking, what am I avoiding? Think practically. If you fear rejection, you'll dodge opportunities where rejection is possible. You won't love wholeheartedly, apply for your dream job, or speak truth, all because you dread a no. But that choice shrinks your life, dims your presence, and halves your existence. The fear of rejection isn't just a feeling, it becomes the guide of your entire journey. If you don't stop, face it, and accept rejection as a normal part of life, it will lead you to places you never wanted to go. Or say you avoid loneliness. You'll always need someone nearby, constant noise or validation of your worth. But you'll never learn to stand firm if you always need others as crutches. This makes you manipulable, prone to toxic relationships just to escape being alone. What you avoid, loneliness, silently dictates how you live, love, and compromise. The Stoics practiced the opposite. They didn't wait for life to hurt them to learn. They sought what scared them, not for masochism, but to disarm fear's grip. If you fear silence, sit alone daily. If you fear failure, do something likely to fail and see what really happens. If you fear imperfection, share an unfinished work and embrace others' gaze. Each time you do this, fear stops controlling you. You take the wheel. Like a shadow, what you avoid follows you until you turn around. And when you do, it's often less frightening than imagined. The scariest part is usually your mind's projection, not reality. What exhausts you isn't pain, but the energy spent suppressing it. When you let things be, name them, and engage with them, you reclaim freedom. Nothing controls you once you've learned to sit with it in stillness. Start with a simple exercise. Each night, write one thing you tend to avoid, an emotion, memory, or truth. Ask, why am I running from it? What happens if I face it? You don't need grand actions. Just sit with it for 5 minutes. Breathe and feel what it really is. No judgment, no fleeing. Do this daily, and what once ruled you will shrink, then fade. We aren't taught to face pain. We're taught to ignore, dismiss, or replace it with instant joy. But a truly strong life can't be built on avoidance. It's built when you stare into your darkness and say, I'm not afraid of you anymore. Not to win, but to stop being defined by it. If something in your life, a decision you delay, a conversation you dodge, a part of you won't touch, feels avoided, this might be your moment to pause. Take a deep breath, turn around, face it. You don't need to solve it now, just stop running. If this reminds you of something you're avoiding, hit the like button as a small pledge to yourself. From today, I'll face the truth. Share in the comments one small thing you're choosing to confront to stop its control. And if this matters to you, subscribe to continue this journey of living awake, honest, and free from what you once feared. Number 6, continuously check and adjust your thinking. If there's one mental habit central to Stoic philosophy, it's the constant checking and adjusting of how you think. Not occasionally, not just when big events happen, but every day, every hour, even in moments when strong emotions rise or your mind starts spinning hypothetical scenarios. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Our minds take on the color of the thoughts we repeat. This is undeniable truth. How you think is how you live. If you let your mind wander, judge, or worry without scrutiny, you'll live as if those thoughts are real, when most are mere assumptions." The Stoics never fully trusted their first thoughts. They questioned them. They examined them. They asked, is this true? Do I have evidence for this? Does this help me act rightly or just make me react rashly? They saw their minds as gardens. If you don't regularly pull the weeds, they'll choke out everything valuable. And what are those weeds? Baseless doubts, toxic comparisons, spreading negativity, self-blame, and unfounded assumptions. Picture a normal day. Someone doesn't reply to your text. Your first thought might be, they're ignoring me, or they're mad. Unease creeps in. But a Stoic would pause and ask, is this certain? Could they just be busy? Do I have any proof they dislike me? And even if they do, what should I do? This pause to question a thought reclaims control over emotions. They don't believe everything they think, knowing the human mind excels at crafting false narratives. A daily practice is to create moments of pause. When you feel anger, disappointment, jealousy, or frustration, don't react. Write down the thought in your head, then read it as if it came from someone else. You'll find many thoughts are illogical, and acting on them would lead you astray. This is why the Stoics valued daily journaling, not for rambling emotions, but to illuminate their thinking and clear tangled beliefs. A key question to use daily is, am I thinking this because it's true or because it's habit? Many thoughts aren't rooted in present reality, but stem from unprocessed past experiences. Someone rejected you once, so now you think, I'm not good enough. You failed before, so you believe, I'll always fail. These don't reflect truth. They reflect unhealed fears. If you don't check them, you'll live as if they're unchangeable. The Stoics didn't demand constant positivity. They didn't sugarcoat life, but they urged rational, objective, useful thinking. If a thought weakens you, unsettles you, or delays right action, it's a signal to adjust your perspective, not to deceive yourself, but to return to reality. Because reality is rarely as bad when viewed without the lens of bias or emotional reflex. This practice is vital in turbulent situations. When someone says something that angers you, instead of snapping back, ask, what thought is making me angry? Am I thinking they insulted me, or am I projecting an old wound? When you feel inferior, seeing others succeed, ask, am I thinking I'm lesser because I lack results, or am I forgetting I'm on my own path, at my own pace? This inner dialogue builds emotional wisdom, the root of true calm. No one can clean your mind for you. But with daily practice, you'll notice a shift. You stop reacting hastily. You're less pulled by negative emotional currents. You no longer see yourself as a victim of circumstance. You become an observer of your mind, like a diligent gardener, pruning each thought's roots until your inner garden is bright, clean, and spacious enough for good things to grow. If this section makes you realize you've lived by unchecked thoughts too long, hit the like button as a small step to start clearing your mind. Share in the comments a belief you know needs re-examining, like, I must always be perfect, or if someone disagrees, they don't like me. And if you want to keep refining your mental operating system, subscribe, because only by examining your thoughts can you truly master how you live. Number 7, distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. Of all the principles in Stoic philosophy, none is as simple yet profound as the first lesson Epictetus taught. Clearly distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. It sounds obvious, but living by this can transform your life. Most of our suffering, anger, anxiety, and confusion stems from trying to control what isn't ours: the weather, others' emotions, societal approval, or the outcomes of our efforts. We act as if the world owes us smoothness, when in truth, it owes us nothing. The Stoics understood this boundary well. They poured all their energy into improving what they could master: their attitude, reactions, discipline, words, choices, and thinking. For the rest, random events, praise or criticism, fate, circumstances, they accepted it as nature's course. No resisting, no demanding, no complaining. They acted fully but didn't cling to results, knowing outcomes belong to the universe's laws, not their personal will. This distinction doesn't just calm you, it sharpens every decision. When a problem arises, instead of letting emotions rule, you ask, what in this can I influence? That question is a flashlight cutting through the fog of feelings. If you can change it, act. If you can't, let go. Not out of weakness, but wisdom. Holding on to what's beyond your reach only exhausts you and erodes your sense of self. For example, if you're rejected in a relationship, you can't control the other person's feelings, but you can control how you respond, how you care for yourself, and how you grow from it. At work, you can't force your boss to recognize you, but you can control your professionalism, persistence, and work ethic. Once you see what's truly yours to handle, you're no longer stuck. You know your role and perform it with full commitment. No demands, no clinging, no excess expectations. Remember, control is easily mistaken. Many think they can control how others perceive them, so they try pleasing everyone. They weigh every word, every gesture, only to feel empty when misunderstood. The truth is, you can't control others' perceptions. You can only control your integrity. When you live authentically, clearly, and consistently with your values, you stand firm even if misjudged. You don't live to shape others' thoughts. A highly effective practice is this. When something worries you, write it down and split it into two columns. Within my control and outside my control. This simple act pulls you out of emotional loops and lets you see things rationally. Over time, you'll develop a reflex. When chaos hits, your mind doesn't chase it. You turn inward, ask, "What's my part?" and calmly do it. Living by this principle doesn't make you passive or numb. It makes you more effective, focused, and resilient. You stop wasting energy on complaints, frustration, or lamenting the unchangeable. You channel all your awareness into what you can truly master, and that creates lasting change. One of the highest expressions of this principle is accepting without resentment. When things don't go as hoped, you don't ask, "Why me?" but "What can I do with this?" You don't strain to change the world. You change yourself to meet it. In doing so, you become steadier, clearer, and unshakable. Not because life is easy, but because you no longer need it to be. If you've ever felt your efforts were futile, pause and ask, "Am I trying to change something not mine to change?" That question can anchor you back to stillness. True strength doesn't come from controlling everything, but from not needing to control everything to remain yourself. If this section highlights something you're clinging to too tightly, a result, a relationship, an image of yourself, hit the like button as a small step to start letting go of what's not yours. Share in the comments one thing you'll release today, even if it's just a stubborn thought. And if you want to keep honing self-mastery in an ever-changing world, subscribe. Because only by knowing the line between my work and life's work can you truly be free. Number 8, practice inner self-examination. Every morning, each morning is a fresh start. Yet most people begin by diving into the external world. Phones, emails, social media, news, work. They're swept away from the moment they open their eyes, never pausing to check what they're carrying into the day. The Stoics didn't live this way. They started by turning inward. They saw their minds as battlefields, knowing that without inspecting their tools before stepping out, they'd be easily defeated by their own thoughts and emotions. Inner self-examination every morning isn't just a habit, it's a ritual for living with purpose. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and Stoic philosopher, spent each morning writing to himself, not for publication or others' eyes, but to align his mind before facing the world. He reminded himself that today he might meet angry, deceitful, or envious people. But this wouldn't surprise or unsettle him. It's human nature. He noted principles to uphold, emotions to manage, thoughts to release. This daily practice kept his inner core steady amid a turbulent empire's challenges. Morning self-examination doesn't need to be long or elaborate. Just 5 to 10 minutes of quiet, asking simple but profound questions. What kind of person do I want to be today? Am I carrying anger, hurt, or worry from yesterday? What will I do if things don't go my way? How will I respond to delays, chaos, or pressure? These questions aren't about perfect answers. They shape your mindset before circumstances pull you into unconscious reactions. By pausing to reflect at the day's start, you do what most overlook. You actively prepare your mind instead of letting situations dictate your mood. Nothing's worse than facing a situation and realizing you're acting on instinct, lashing out, defending, fearing, then regretting it. But starting with an honest inner dialogue gives you a precious gap between stimulus and response. In that gap, you choose. That choice is what builds maturity. A simple tool is journaling. Keep a notebook by your bed and write a few lines each morning. It doesn't need to be long, just real. Write what you're feeling. Note what you need to stay grounded. List one thing you'll do today to live better than yesterday. This habit not only clarifies your mind, but trains you to recognize emotions and thoughts. A core skill for anyone seeking to live consciously. If you often lose your way during the day, check whether you started with intention. The Stoics didn't let others' emotions sway them because they'd forecasted them. They didn't let a harsh word crush them because they'd reminded themselves, people will sometimes be unreasonable, and I don't need to mirror them. Morning self-examination is like donning mental armor, not to attack, but to shield your clarity in a noisy world. An intriguing question to add is, if today were my last day, would I want to start it this way? It's not about gloom, but about grounding you in reality. It reminds you that you don't have time for half-lived days, careless actions, petty grudges, or delaying what matters. Starting with awareness of life's finitude, you live with greater qualities: gratitude, focus, depth. Morning self-examination also resets your intent. You don't live on autopilot, you live directed. Maybe today you choose focus, patience, honesty, or stillness. Even one word held at your mind's center becomes a compass for how you engage with others and yourself. 10 minutes of morning quiet can transform a day and, with time, a life. If this inspires you to start mornings differently, turning inward instead of being pulled outward, hit the like button to commit to yourself. Share in the comments one question you'll ask yourself each morning. And if you want to keep building inner strength through simple, profound habits, subscribe for more. Because true strength isn't controlling others. It's starting each day by mastering yourself. Number 9, accept the uncertainty of life. No one truly knows what tomorrow holds. You can plan, calculate, control every detail of your schedule, but a single phone call, a sudden rain, or an unexpected event can upend it all. That's life. It isn't obligated to follow your expectations. In fact, everything you have today, your job, health, closest relationships, can change at any moment. Not because you've done wrong, not because you haven't tried, simply because the world isn't under anyone's control. If you don't learn to accept uncertainty as an inevitable part of life, you'll live in anxiety, anger, disappointment, and a sense of being unmoored. The Stoics didn't try to erase uncertainty. They didn't delude themselves into thinking they could control everything. They faced change and unpredictability with a proactive, steady mindset. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You may not control what comes, but you can always control how you receive it." This isn't just a nice quote, it's a guide for living. If you wait for certainty to feel secure, you'll never be secure. But if you learn to stand firm in uncertainty, nothing can shake you. Accepting uncertainty doesn't mean abandoning goals or living recklessly. It means doing your best, acting with clarity and intent, but not clinging to outcomes or tying your happiness to what hasn't happened. You understand plans are just assumptions. Expectations are just desires. And everything that occurs is an inseparable part of the journey you must walk with, not against. The truth is, uncertainty creates opportunity. If life always followed predictions, there'd be no room for creativity, growth, or beautiful surprises. You'd never learn adaptability if everything went smoothly. You'd never know your strength without uncontrollable changes forcing you to rise. The Stoics saw uncertainty not as something to fear, but as a training ground for self-mastery. Each time you face the unforeseen with calm, you grow a little steadier. Imagine driving through fog. You can't see beyond a few meters, but you keep driving, step by step. One press of the pedal, one turn of the wheel, one small decision. Life is like that. You don't need to see the whole road. You just need enough clarity to handle what's right ahead. If you stop because you don't know the full route, you'll never get anywhere. But if you embrace the fog and keep moving, you'll go farther than those who wait for clear skies. A key practice is to remind yourself each morning, today something unexpected might happen. This doesn't make you pessimistic. It makes you prepared. When it does happen, a glitch, a change, a letdown, you don't collapse. You don't spiral into panic or rage at the world. You say, yes, I knew this was possible, and I'm ready to live with it. Uncertainty also reminds you of impermanence. Everything changes, even the good things you have now. Not to make you fearful, but to make you grateful. Knowing a relationship might end, you cherish each conversation. Knowing health can fade, you value each morning you wake. Knowing the future is unpredictable, you live fully in the present. That's what gives life depth. If you're in a foggy phase, uncertain about your path, career, or relationships, remember, you don't need to know everything. You just need to know the next right step. Take it. Do one small thing. Hold to your principles. Let the rest unfold. No one has a complete map for life, but those living with Stoic resolve keep their inner compass steady. And that's enough. If this section shifts how you view uncertainty, hit the like button to acknowledge you're choosing to walk with life, not against it. Share in the comments one uncertainty you're facing and how you're learning to move with it. And if you want to keep building resilience in a ceaselessly changing world, subscribe, because you can't control the road, but you can absolutely control how you walk it. Number 10, community over individual. One of the greatest misconceptions in modern society is the absolute idealization of individual independence. We're taught to stand on our own, rely on no one, pursue our own path, and while these aren't wrong taken to extremes, they create a generation living in isolated personal success without true connection. Individualism is glorified, while the spirit of community, central to Stoic living, is often forgotten. The Stoics didn't see themselves as separate entities, but as parts of a whole. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "As the eye is part of the body, we are part of the human community. Just as an eye can't function if the body is harmed, you can't live true to your human nature if detached from your communal role." Stoicism teaches that true strength isn't standing alone, but contributing to the common good while maintaining personal integrity. This doesn't mean sacrificing yourself for the crowd or pleasing everyone. The Stoics were clear about boundaries, but they understood that your actions should always be considered in their impact on others. Living rightly isn't just for yourself, but also for the community you're part of. Family, friends, colleagues, society. A truly grounded person isn't selfish, cold, or indifferent to others' struggles. They know personal growth shouldn't come at the cost of neglecting the collective. Practicing community over individual starts with concrete, everyday actions. Listening without interrupting, offering advice not to seem wise but to genuinely help, working not just for yourself but with the team's outcomes in mind, owning mistakes not to save face but to preserve shared trust. Most importantly, it's acting with kindness, not for recognition, but because it's the right way to live. The Stoics believed virtue lies not in words or feelings, but in actions. You can't claim to be virtuous if you focus solely on self-improvement while ignoring those weaker than you. And you don't need to be a hero or saint to live for community. Each day, choosing kindness, fairness, and thoughtfulness, you help build a healthier, more livable society, and in turn become stronger yourself. The paradox is that living for community doesn't diminish you, it deepens you. You develop a richer self, not the selfish ego, but a mature one, tied not to validation, but to service. The Stoics called this natural duty. You don't need grand reasons to do good for others. You do it because you're human, and doing right is what humans do, not for rewards, not from fear of judgment, but because it aligns with your conscience. In an era where "who am I" dominates every narrative, ask instead, who am I serving? Who benefits from my growth? Am I making my surroundings better? Living with these questions daily, you'll find fulfillment not from grand personal achievements, but from knowing you're making a difference for others. If you feel empty amid personal successes, you may have unintentionally cut yourself off from community. Return. No grand gestures needed. Just be more present in relationships. Listen more than you speak. Help without expecting a return. Each act reconnects you to your natural role, a human living among humans. If this section prompts you to rethink your role in your community, hit the like button to mark a small commitment. From today, I live not just for myself. Share in the comments one simple act you'll do this week to positively impact someone else, like listening with patience and understanding. And if you want to continue becoming a meaningful part of this world, subscribe. Because you can't become your best self if you live entirely apart from those journeying with you. We've just walked through 10 Stoic principles, not as wall-hanging quotes, but as practical tools to forge yourself daily. You might recognize some you've known but never deeply applied. Others may have hit hard, not because they're easy, but because they're true. And that's the beauty. Truth can liberate if you're brave enough to face it. But knowledge doesn't change lives, action does. So don't let this video be just nice to hear. Pick one mindset that resonates most and start practicing it today. Maybe it's staying silent more. Maybe it's morning journaling. Maybe it's letting go of expectations. It doesn't matter where you start, as long as you do. If you think this journey is worth sharing, hit the like button to let YouTube's algorithm know this content should reach more people. Comment below which mindset shifted your perspective most clearly. And if you want to keep becoming calmer, deeper, steadier, subscribe. I'll be back with more videos to join you on this path of inner growth. Slow but sure, quiet but enduring. This isn't just philosophy, it's a way of living. And you can start today.